Hey everyone, Steve Perry here. Classes are at the heart of any object-oriented programming language, and Kotlin is no exception. In this video, I'll show you how to work with classes. Here's what you'll see in the video. Create a project in IntelliJ for the source code for Unit 6, and walk through examples 1 through 4 from the unit. This video accompanies Unit 6 of my Kotlin Learning Path, which you can find only at IBM Developer. You'll find a link in the video description. Let's get started. Make sure you've cloned the code for the source code from GitHub. Start IntelliJ, choose Create New Project. Navigate to the location where you cloned the code. Click Finish to create the new project. Expand to the example1 directory and open person.kt. This is a very simple class definition, class space person. To run the main function, click on the run arrow next to the line number gutter. Choose the option to run. The code is compiled and executed in the IDE. And there's the output. Not very exciting. Let's look at another person class with more attributes. Expand the example2 directory and open person.kt. This person class has 3 attributes: given name, family name, and date of birth. Still, the class fits on 1 line of code. Check out its Java equivalent. It takes 19 lines of code to express the same class in Java. Let's run example 2. And there's the output. Something bugs me about this implementation though. Notice it's up to the main function to create the string representation of the person object. Seems like that should be something that's part of the person object itself, right? Turns out the any class, which is the base class for all Kotlin classes, has a function called toString that you can override. Expand the example3 directory and open person.kt. Notice the toString function now generates the string representation of the person object. I've removed the logic from main, so now all you have to do is call println and pass it the person object. Run the main function, and there's the output. Kotlin has 4 visibility modifiers: public, internal, protected, private. Visibility modifiers are used to restrict what elements of a file, class, interface, and so on are visible to other elements. Expand the example4 directory and open the family.kt file. All 4 of the visibility modifiers are used here. If no modifier is specified, the element is public by default, as you can see here with public property. The internal modifier is used when you want the element to be accessible inside the current module. A module would be, for example, a project. Generically, a module is a set of Kotlin files that are compiled and packaged together. You know, like a project. Check out the Kotlin docs for more info on modules. A link is in the video description. A protected element is visible inside of the class where it's defined and any of its subclasses. A private element like this property is visible anywhere inside the file that defines it. These modifiers apply to properties, classes, functions, and more. Not all modifiers apply everywhere though. For example, a top-level protected property doesn't really make sense since a top-level property can't have a subclass. If you try to create a protected property, the compiler will complain. Let's look at main. All of the top-level properties are visible within main because it's defined in the same file. The public name attribute of parent is visible, of course, as is the internal class because main and parent are in the same file. But if you try and access one of the properties of the parent class that are not visible for main, you get a compile error. Notice that within the child class, which is a subclass of parent, that it can access the protected string property, as well as the protected function called, oddly enough, disclose private, which shows that parent can access its private class property, but nothing else can. When you run the example, it prints out the various attribute values to demonstrate the allowable access. Now open neighbor.kt and see what access is allowed from a different file. Public elements like properties are accessible everywhere, so no surprise there. Internal elements are accessible in the same module. Check. If you try and access the private property, you get a compile error. Same for the private class. Parent is accessible along with the public name property of the parent object and parent's internal class property. But the child class is private. If you try and instantiate that from neighbor.kt, you get, you guessed it, a compile error. Run neighbor.kt the same way as parent, and there's its output. That was a look at Kotlin classes, how to instantiate a class, extend a class, and override a method from a parent class, and a demo of Kotlin's visibility modifiers. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm Steve Perry. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.